You said that what's really important increasingly is the character of the leader. Could you elaborate?
Yeah. I think a lot of leadership in the past 20 years has been on what the leader does. As I said, how do you align the organization? How do you develop a strategy? How do you pick the right person to replace you or to appoint in a different place? They're kind of, they're work products. How do I, and if you get that right, it works. I think that in today's world, in the future, there has to be more focus on who the leader is, because you can't really predict anymore what the world's going to look like. It's very fast moving, metabolic rate and all that we talked about before. So you need someone who's going to be able to have the muscle, if I could call it that, to understand how the world's changed. That's what I said about, looking at the trend breaks, saying, oh my God, actually we're shifting. If you're Best Buy, when is it the decision you decide that we're going to have to fundamentally change our business model, or your Blockbuster or your Kodak or your whoever? Everyone's got to be thinking about this. So it becomes more a matter of how you deal with complexity. How good are you at being able to shift your focus quickly? How can you deal with stress? Stress is just a part, unfortunately, and parcel of leadership in the future. How do you manage your energy? A lot of leaders, CEOs, get into trouble because they run out of gas, or they don't have enough energy, or they're tired. They make decisions. So, for example, I will not make any decisions in the afternoon anymore, big ones. I won't, because I'm tired. By the time it's 3 o'clock, I'm too tired, and so I'll listen to people. But I said I'm not going to do it. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't make decisions after 3. It's more how you manage your own energy. And then there's this notion of purpose, which I think is a very important part of leadership. Why are you doing what you're doing? And you've got to remind yourself of that, I think, regularly, and reinforce it, because that keeps you stable. Because you get so many weird things thrown at you, or people asking you strange things, or even in your own organization, that can keep you rock solid, if you will, to be able to handle it. And that's so I think much more effort has to go into this, who people are. And what I believe is, you're not born a leader. You can train to be a leader. That's why it's a muscle. I don't know, it's probably not a good analogy, but and if you practice those things, you will be a better leader. But you have to practice it.
And very hard, though, it would seem to me, to identify someone like that in order to recruit them. No,
it is. That's why I think you can look for leadership traits, like, has someone built something? Have they taken a risk? One thing I found, it was some research we did, I found it very interesting. We found that leaders actually have more bad luck than people who are not leaders. It seemed like a straight. Why is that? And the reason is that leaders have more at bats, so they're taking way more risk, but they just get back up. It's like the resilience. They don't crash when they fail. They just get back up and they keep going. But the point is, they keep trying things, and that's an important part, I think, of this too. Is people. You got to keep trying new things. You got to push yourself. You have to be in different swimming pools, and if you do that, you'll build it. And it's a muscle. It's not you're not born that way. I just don't. And I think, again, if you look at, I won't mention any names, but you look at some very successful people who become CEO, but if they've never had a crisis, a big one, and they have it when they're the CEO, it usually goes wrong, because they haven't had to deal with weird stuff. And so, for example, on a very personal level, I'd say one of the best experiences I ever had from a leadership was being in Korea, because so many strange things were going on. We'd have first of all, we had the financial crisis. All of a sudden, companies we thought were good disappeared. Which I never, I'd read about it, but to see it actually happen, that makes you think differently. I found companies that had 3 sets of books, a family set of books, a tax set of books, and a public set of, I just didn't know that. We would get investigated. We'd have the tax authority come in and just say, we're looking at all your papers. We had some of our people taken into they don't have habeas corpus, so there were just weird things, but that stressed me out. But in a way, they were great, because you got a thicker skin. It didn't freak me out anymore. When something weird happens, you go, well, okay, now we just got to. Whereas at the time, it did, but luckily, it didn't. It wasn't going to break the firm if something happened. So I think I'm not trying to say, again, put people in stressful situations, but give people challenge where they're going to find that everything doesn't work on a straight line. Even though you logically do, or you're a good person, you do this, the world doesn't work that way. And I think we need to give people that, and the earlier the better. And then they'll be stronger leaders.
So one final question for you. If you had one piece of advice to give the average manager who aspires to be a leader in the public service, what would you say to him or her?
I would say, this has been very philosophical, but I'd say, what's your dream? Like, what do you want? What do you want to make it? What gets you fired up and where you want to change it? And I think it's very important you have that dream. And that's, again, something I polish almost every day, because there's always going to be boring things you do, but keep the mission high. What do you do? What is it that you want to build and drive? Even talking just at the end, there were some guys talking about dairy, right? They're 2 years in. They're so excited about the dairy. Do you see these? Do you see them talk? They want to build big. They've got a big ambition. Everyone, you don't have to wait till you're 50 to have that. I think everyone has it. So I would be thinking about, what is the thing where do I want to make a real difference for the country here? What is it that I'm going to do? And it'll be very different for people. And I would just keep pushing that you want to make a difference, and and maybe it's how you want to change the place to make it better. Where do I want to change it? And I would always look at, don't accept the status quo. Do not accept it. And I don't mean to be a troublemaker, but challenge orthodoxies. If you think something's not right for that, then say it. Why do we do it that way? I think we could do it this way. So the other thing I could say is, you have this dream. Sorry, I'm saying two things, not one. But I'd have this dream, but I would also be challenging orthodoxies. Why do we have to do it this way? Just because we did it this way all the time, I think there's a better way. Challenge orthodoxies, and that will make you a stronger leader. It'll make the place better. It'll take the metabolic rate up, and then we'll be more successful.